All right, this is Christian with Southern Roofing here on the Kohr roof. We have got our ITEL certified shingle. We've actually done a repair test, but we were told we used the wrong color. So we brought out the color that you guys suggested, which is the rustic black, which is an even worse match, you know, if we're being totally honest. So just kind of the elephant in the room here. Tennessee has some of the best matching laws in any of the states around, and this doesn't match at all. It's not even remotely close. So we're gonna go ahead and do this video for diligence, but we've already failed just off of matching alone. There's a reason that there's matching laws in Tennessee. They don't want their neighborhoods looking like trash, different color shingles, mismatched roof. You know, these are $1 million homes, some even more. And that's the reason we have those matching codes, to protect our homeowner and protect our communities and state from having ugly roofs. So for diligence, we are going to go ahead and get this wind-proof shingle out. Just a general state of what's going on. We've lost a lot of our granules. This roof is incredibly brittle. It's clearly not repairable visually. You can see fiberglass all throughout the shingle, especially around the edges. You can see these wispy spider web-like strands sticking off in a few different places. And the shingles are very shiny throughout. So it's very clear that we've lost a lot of our granules. Let me throw a glove on my left hand. Even though we're in the low 80s today, the roof gets very, very hot to the touch. So we're gonna do our very best. This tool was specifically made for this. And right away, really before we even get started, I can kind of feel some mat transfer going on, which is basically where the shingles fuse together over time. So we're gonna be extra careful. We're pretty good at this, better than most. So we're gonna try to prevent that mat transfer or tearing from happening. And even though we are replacing this shingle, we obviously want to use good faith and take the shingle out as gingerly as possible so we don't damage the surrounding roof. It's very important that the shingle comes out whole. All right, so we've got that unsealed. We're going to have a nail line here and another nail line up top. So we're going to go ahead and go ahead and start just separating these shingles here to the best of our ability. So that way the shingles have the best chance of being manipulated without being creased. If you were to unseal only the end of the shingle, you'd get a situation where you have creasing kind of here. So we want to give it a best chance to be able to be manipulated without creasing or tearing. So we're going to unseal the shingle all the way down. And this tool is specifically made for this. This is a sharp, rigid tool. It doesn't bend. So it makes it a little bit easier to get these shingles separated than with, for example, plastic. Okay, so it looks like the shingle under here is kind of tearing itself, but we're pretty good at this, so it looks like we managed to get through it. All right, we've got one shingle left to separate. And then as we're doing this one, you can actually see the dragon tooth starting to bubble off and delaminate here. You know, there's no granules left really to work with. We're just kind of separating mat, doing our best here. We actually did just get a tear. You know, this is a portion of the shingle where there's much more mat than there are granules at all. So we don't have any of our pliability, which is something's ability to bend without breaking. I'm trying to be really careful here. Looks like we're gonna tear anyway. No, we got through that patch. All right, so we are completely separated here. We're gonna go ahead and start looking for these nail heads. We're not gonna lift the shingle very high at all. Oh, looks like I forgot to unseal one shingle here. Let's go ahead and get that working. Same thing here with our dragon tooth is bubbling off on the end. We're getting a delamination there. Same thing again here. That's almost a full delamination of the dragon tooth. All right, so let's go ahead and quickly and carefully remove our nails. Even though we are replacing this shingle, we still want to loosen the nails from the bottom and then move to the top of the shingle, so that way we don't have any blow through, which is where the nail pulls itself through the shingle and kind of creates a little hole where the nail head would have been. All right, quick and smooth, very easy. This shingle doesn't have hardly any fasteners. Okay. Well, we got two here, one underdriven. All right. So straight away, we have a horrendous case of matte transfer. So this is where these opaque areas, these matte, M-A-T-T-E areas, that is this shingle. The back of this shingle has ripped itself off and has now become part of this shingle. And our remaining shingle left on the roof is aggregate. And the same thing is visible here. You can actually see a hunk of this shingle having been torn out, and you should find it on the back of this shingle. So this is massive hunks of this shingle that have been torn off, and the same thing is present here. So that's another fail, apart from the matching. Horrendous matte transfer, where through the days and nights, season to season, as the temperature and humidity fluctuates, these shingles just fuse together and become aggregate, which is where the shingle is a piece of itself. It's not whole anymore. So that's gonna be an obvious repair fail. We're gonna move on for diligence here. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna measure the length of the shingle, make sure they're the same size, which they are not. They have a massive disparity. That's gonna be about 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch of a length disparity. Come on, Christian. Oh, here, let's do this on the flat portion so they don't slide. Okay, so we're gonna line up the ends here, and we have got 3/4 of an inch that the shingle is too long. We do not cut in an open field because the shingles are not going to be sealed in an open field. Sealant is for vents, for knee walls, for chimneys. You don't cut shingles in an open field because it will cause exposure issues. I don't think there's a width difference. Nope, looks like our width is identical. So we're going to go ahead and slide this in here. We'll check for layers first. All right, so let me have the phone. We have a 2-layer roof. So in Tennessee, 2-layer roofs are out of code, especially this county and area here, where they require us to go down to bare decking before we can do any type of repairs. There's a reason for that. So the nails that are used are 1.25 inches. They're a certain length for a reason. They're going through shingle, underlayment, and into decking. When you have a second layer of roofing, it creates anywhere from 1/2 to 1 inch more of decking surface, squishy, moldy decking surface that the nails have to go through. So you've got a layer of mush and your nails end up being too short. And that's why this repair would be out of code on a 2-layer roof. So we're gonna go ahead and move on. The tarp is not the correct solution here. We don't wanna drive nails into open spaces. So we are gonna use this shingle as kind of a temporary solution to get this hole filled here. But we clearly have a failed repair. So the shingle's far too long. You can already see that. That's very obvious. So, you know, it's the wrong color. We're gonna go ahead and nail it in with some fresh nails, just so that the cores don't have a hole in their roof through this cleaning process, and they are leak-free, at least for the time being. This is the most talked about portion of the repair. Per manufacturer installation guidelines, I must lift the shingle as high as I need to drive the nail flush, and that is where the guidelines end. There are no references to lift angles, and when you start talking about lift angles, which is kind of like wives' tales in this industry, the shingles aren't repairable, right? So on a new shingle, it's a noodle. It's so rubbery and wiggly, you're never gonna get a crease on this. I can brush this 1,000 times for the entirety of the day, and not a single granule is gonna fall off. I can't even do that to these old shingles because we know what's gonna happen. So I've got to get the nail above the sealant line, and I can't drive it at an angle. So bring the camera down a little bit. So I can't pretend like I can lift the shingle this high and get the mag hatch in there. It doesn't work, and I can't angle the mag hatch. That's an incorrect installation. The fasteners have to be driven straight and true. So per manufacturer installation guidelines, the shingle must be lifted as high as I need to to drive that nail flush. And you can see how brittle this roof is because I have to actually press the shingle back down to get it to go into the roof there. It's kind of like messy, oily hair where it just wants to stand up and not go back down. I mean, you know, you got the new shingle. That's exactly how you want a shingle to act when you're manipulating it. We're gonna go ahead and drive a couple more nails in here so you can kind of hear the creasing and cracking. And every time I strike the roof, you can see hundreds of granules raining down from our surrounding shingles. You can actually see matte transfer up here as well. So we've experienced matte transfer on every single shingle. We've got our tabs delaminating here. We're gonna go ahead and just drive the rest of these nails in for diligence. Okay. And see how the shingle, it's so brittle and has lost so much of its pliability, it doesn't even want to lay back down straight. We're going to drive 2 more nails to make sure the shingle doesn't fall off the roof. We're going to drive our last nail here. And we can talk about creasing and cracking and tearing, but when we get into lift angle conversations, it's not even relevant. We have matte transfer all over every surface of this area. We have dragon teeth delaminating and bubbling off while we're removing the nails. We have a massive disparity in color, massive color disparity in an area with $1 million homes in a state, county, city with very strict matching laws to protect our homeowners and communities. So between all of that, the lack of pliability, the total lack of compatibility with dimension, color, size, matte transfer, it is my professional opinion that this repair has failed. This roof cannot be repaired and must be replaced as a whole. For that reason, we are asking for coverage to be extended to a full roof replacement. We appreciate you guys so much. You have a good day.